I just wanted to get started with how hard is it to find jobs right now in Dubai? And what is the job market like in Dubai right now?
Getting an internship can actually get you a return offer and then kind of save you this entire process of looking into jobs. I've known so many people who just got the job strictly like out of the internship.
How hard would it be to get an internship?
I think it's at least easier than getting the actual full-time job.
in Germany, my friend pays 49% in taxes.
Yeah, like come on. Why would I work like 16 to 18 hours a day and then someone take 49% of my salary? I think now the place to be is Riyadh.
Not Dubai?
No, not Dubai. I think Dubai is kind of saturated, not really from just a consulting point of view, but in general. So working hours, I'd say like 1 week you could be literally dying in a project and like working 16 to 18 hours nonstop for like weeks. And then you'd go on another project. I'm like, oh, like this is a good project. I wish all my projects were like this. So it's not really a standard experience throughout. You should expect everything and be ready to put in the work.
Do they speak Arabic? How important is Arabic?
Okay, so no, not really.
Not really?
Think no.
In GCC?
Yeah, even in GCC. Like our teams, at least the people I know from MBB, from Tier 2, the teams are super international. Like you might find people from India, you might find people from Italy, Germany, like literally every single country you can think of.
So in terms of salaries, in Dubai specifically, how much are we looking at per analyst and associates?
Probably Big Four would be around like 3K.
3,000 USD per month?
Yeah.
In this video, I have Rosy with me. She's a senior strategy consultant working in Dubai. She's worked in Riyadh, Qatar, and as well as Dubai since the past 2 years. She's also the biggest content creator for the field of consulting and consulting jobs in the GCC region. And in this video, we're going to talk about how do we enter into consulting job roles in Dubai, what to expect in these job roles, and most importantly, how can you set yourself apart to get a job in the field of consulting in Dubai. Now, it takes a lot of efforts to record these videos. I had to fly to Dubai to record this video. And if you do enjoy this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I just wanted to get started with how hard is it to find jobs right now in Dubai, and what is the job market like in Dubai right now?
Okay, so I think the job market overall, like internationally, is not at its best, as people would know. And of course, it's kind of similar here, like both in Dubai and the GCC in general. So it is tough. We've heard about a lot of hiring freezes, like slowing down at least in hiring, but you can still kind of get it, but at least the bar is set a bit higher than usual, I would say.
In general, is your company or other companies around you hiring right now?
Probably not as much as before. I don't really know specifics of whether they're hiring or not, but there is always kind of the recruitments from universities, the off-cycle hiring and the cycle hirings. So it is still there, but probably a bit slower.
So in general, if someone is looking out for jobs, just getting started, has no idea,
Okay.
what roadmap would you give them in terms of consulting? They want to get a job in consulting,
Yeah.
specifically GCC. What all should they know?
Okay, so I think what they should know is there are several paths. So the first one could be as a student, like what should you do? Even before you start looking for a job, my advice would be to look for internships, because getting an internship can actually get you a return offer and then kind of save you this entire process of looking into jobs. I've known so many people who just got the job strictly like out of the internship.
How hard would it be to get an internship?
I think it's at least easier than getting the actual full-time job. Like if you have a good GPA, if you've maintained a good GPA in university, if your university is also a target university, then it's relatively easier because you directly apply through the university. You already kind of build your network inside that consulting firm that you've had the internship in. If the manager liked you, if the team liked you, they'd end up giving you the return offer. So it's all in all easier than getting the full-time job.
So your first recommendation would be to look for an internship.
Exactly.
Let's suppose we do that. Any other thing that we should do?
Yeah, so once you're looking for a job, let's say you graduated, now you just want to look for a job, I'd say the number one option is to apply again through your university. Because like the way they should think about it is you are applying with a pool of other kind of candidates. And the smaller this pool is, the higher your probability of getting screened or getting interviews is. And when you apply through the company website, which a lot of people actually do, your probability of getting in is probably like less than 0.5%.
Yeah.
Because Now, it's not only consulting that's a very kind of interesting or exciting industry to be in, but also the GCC as a region. So many people from so many different countries are actually applying.
Even Oxford students
Yeah.
are looking to apply for GCC.
Exactly. And this is why imagine that you're competing with like thousands of other people as compared to when you apply through your university, you're competing with like a small pool of candidates who applied. So if you stand out, you can actually get the job. And to stand out specifically, I think consulting firms still for their kind of junior positions give a lot of emphasis to your academic background. Like,
so you think academics are really
yeah,
important?
are super important because the way you think about it, when you come in as a junior, they're not really like paying you or giving you the job for your expertise because you don't really have expertise in a specific field. Plus, you're going to generalist consulting firms. It's not as if you're getting hired as an expert.
Okay, can you break that down? What do you mean by generalist and
Yeah, so mainly you go into a consulting firm, and if you know, consulting firms have so many practices under them. So you might get staffed on a government project one day, another project would be procurement, a third project could be like education, a fourth project could be technology, so it's very different.
In terms of specialist, what do you mean by that?
Specialist is someone who has had the experience before and is hired, for example, for a specific practice. Because he has had the experience.
Maybe finance.
Yeah. So, for example, if a consulting firm has a health practice, they would most probably take people from a pharmacy background, from a biology background, and directly hire them into that practice. So this is what's different. So when you're a generalist, the pool is so much bigger, and they're not really paying you for your expertise. If you think about it, they're paying you for one, your time, because you're going to spend so much time actually doing this job. And then second, they're paying you for your kind of academic background and kind of credentials. Did you prove that you were someone who worked hard in university, who can take pressure, who has worked with teams, who was able to maintain a really good GPA alongside, for example, doing a job or something? So all of this really matters.
In general, in your colleagues, you've seen mostly people with good academics and good universities?
Yeah, definitely. Like they come from really good universities. And like, for example, I come from a small city in Lebanon. I was a top student. I graduated as the valedictorian of my university. So I was super confident when I got the job and I entered. And then I went there and I'm like, oh my God, like people here come from like Harvard, they come from Oxford, they have this amazing experience before. And I'm like, am I not good enough? So you have this imposter syndrome, but
You always have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I wanted to understand, why are people from Harvard, Oxford, even in my class, 50% of students who are planning to enter into consulting are not looking at London, are not looking at US offices, they're looking at GCC.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why is everyone moving to GCC?
I think for many reasons. Like if you think about it, you don't have taxes, which is a very major factor to take in. Like for example, you work in the US, I don't know, like I really don't know.
In Germany, my friend pays 49% in taxes.
Yeah, like come on. Why would I work like 16 to 18 hours a day and then someone take 49% of my salary? So this is why people are like, okay, if I'm gonna work super hard in that field, let's actually do it and get the benefit of it. And this is why they're looking, for example, in the GCC. Plus, I think the GCC in itself as like a region is booming.
Yeah.
Like Dubai is booming. Now Riyadh is the other like place of the world that's actually has the spotlight.
What do you think about Dubai versus Riyadh? Where should I look for jobs?
I think now the place to be is Riyadh.
Not Dubai?
No, not Dubai. I think Dubai is kind of saturated, not really from just a consulting point of view, but in general. Like the market here is already mature enough. We have a lot of good players. It's not really, of course, there would still be like growing industries and everything would still go on, but it's not as much as Riyadh. Because Riyadh is going through like an incredible, development stage with the Vision 2030 that was put by the government. So they're working extra hard to boom all the industries there. Okay. And who usually helps them? Usually it's like consultants or other like more kind of boutique firms in order to do that.
So even from Dubai, most of your work is based out of Riyadh?
Yeah. So this is what a lot of people don't get. Even if you get a job in consulting in Dubai, there is literally like a very minimal chance of you working in Dubai or like with Dubai clients, because we don't really have so many clients in Dubai, because again the market already went through the stage of when they actually
growth
needed
stage
consultants.
already.
Exactly.
Okay.
So your clients would be outside of it. The closest one is sometimes Abu Dhabi. You get clients in Abu Dhabi, but most of the time it's actually in KSA, specifically in Riyadh, because this is where everything now is happening.
That you're talking about like from everyone you know.
Yeah, everyone I know. Yeah. Like from all firms, not necessarily from the firm I work in, but the place to be, or like where you will be if you get staffed in the GCC, is mostly Riyadh.
What do you think about salaries between Dubai and Riyadh? Where would I get more?
So the thing is, in order to attract all this talent to Riyadh, because it wasn't really a talent hub before, like people wouldn't be in, let's say, London and think, oh, I want to apply to Riyadh.
In fact, I think right now people are thinking from London to
Okay.
apply to Riyadh. I can assure
Great,
you.
that's super great to hear. This is what they wanted to be. So this is why they would offer probably a bit of more incentives for you to get staffed in Riyadh, and the salary would be a bit higher eventually.
And at the same time, zero taxes.
Yeah, of course, zero taxes. We're not like, I don't know if they might get taxes later, but for now it's still zero tax.
It's just so funny. I can't even imagine getting the same amount of money in your account, what you're being paid for.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you think about it, this is how it should be, but I understand like the concept of taxes. But like for you as a person, I'm like, no, I want to get the full money that I deserve, especially because you're working super hard in this industry.
Okay, so in terms of working hours, how many working hours are we looking at? Because in India, it's messed up. It's messed up to a next level. What do you think about?
Yeah, I think it's a bit even more messed up here.
Oh, come on. No
Yeah.
way. No way.
It is more messed up because like you're dealing with projects that are moving super fast. The client is demanding. The caliber should be super high, not even with you, but the whole like teams that you have on projects. So yes, it is very crazy. You can go from like I'd say 10 hours a day to like 16 to 18 hours sometimes.
You put 16 hours a day.
There are projects where you actually put 16 hours.
And then you get an off next day, or do you work another 16 hours next
No,
day?
you still work. So the thing is, what people don't really realize about consulting, it's very different. And once, like you might ask me, then ask another person, and their experience could be completely different. Because I might be working in a different company that has a more like different culture, or in another like project inside the same company that also has a bit of a different work-life balance. So it's different. Like every time you change project, you have to adapt to the number of hours, to how demanding or good the client is, to the team that you're actually working with. So it's very reliant on so many different factors. So working hours, I'd say like 1 week you could be literally dying in a project and like working 16 to 18 hours nonstop for like weeks. And then you'd go on another project. I'm like, oh, like this is a good project. I wish all my projects were like this. So it's not really a standard experience throughout. You should expect everything and be ready to put in the work if needed. So yeah.
Okay, coming back to the topic of getting the jobs.
The
job. In terms of your colleagues and friends, do they speak Arabic? How important is Arabic?
Okay, so no, not really.
Not
I
really.
think no.
In GCC?
Yeah, even in GCC. Like our teams, at least the people I know from MBB, from Tier 2, the teams are super international. Like you might find people from India, you might find people from Italy, Germany, like literally every single country you can think of. And the team itself is usually like have different people put together. Does it really matter to speak Arabic? Not really. Like the last team I was with, there was no one who actually spoke Arabic except for me. But sometimes some clients prefer to have at least a person on the team who speaks Arabic in case they want to read something, in case they have to present something in Arabic, because it's needed at a certain point.
How often have you got to use your Arabic skills?
So much. Because I think what people should realize, a lot of the consulting industry in the Middle East is driven by the government. So we have a lot of government projects, semi-government projects, and a lot of those people actually prefer to talk in Arabic.
So having Arabic in your profile would give you a huge advantage?
I'd say at least it would give you an advantage. One, to get the job, kind of, and two, also to get staffed. because it's not really enough to get the job in consulting.
Then
you have to get
go on
staffed.
projects and get
Exactly.
staffed, yeah.
So since you have the Arabic language and clients would prefer someone with Arabic, then your chances of getting hired are a bit higher. But again, there's also the extreme opposite in other projects where, let's say, they don't want, like they want an international team just to have different like perspectives. So they'd rather not have someone from the Arab region. So it's different, but yes, Arabic can actually give you an advantage if you know it.
If you were to list out some other things that can help a student or a person, what all should they focus on to get an advantage while applying for jobs?
Yeah. I think they should really have a good CV. And by a good CV, I don't just mean your credentials on that CV. I also mean the structure of the CV, the way they've written it. Sometimes some people miss on things that could actually give them advantage and they don't even know about it.
Can you give an example?
Yeah, so for example, also another thing that they should know is sometimes it's not actually HR who screens the CV of the aspiring consultants, but consultants themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we know what to look for in a candidate when we want to screen someone.
What would you want the candidate to have?
So one, I want someone who shows me structure. And what do I mean by structure? Let's say have a very clear CV. Like no fancy format, the ones you see online with the pictures, with the colors, like nothing of that. Because I would look at the CV and directly like say, no, that's not it. Just look for the regular Harvard template CV. If you want, you can go on like my Instagram and you can go to Rosy Shukair and in the link in bio.
I'll leave the link in the description.
You can actually get the Harvard template. It's even free online. You can just Google it. This is one. In the Harvard template, please mention your GPA because again, it's really important. And if you don't mention it, if it's low, for example, it doesn't mean that they won't notice it. No, they will notice and kind of realize that you didn't mention it because you have a low GPA. And they will kind of directly screen you out. 2, if you have a C GPA that's actually low, you can put your major GPA if that's better. You can put your final year GPA if that's better. You can
just put some sort of GPA.
Just put something, exactly. Okay. Or put kind of academic proof. Like I did this specific project.
Show a quantitative side to
exactly. This is one. Then the second one, please mention the experiences and their location, not just the experience itself, because any kind of international experience could give you more advantage. So even if you just attended an event, an online course that's based in some region in the world, just mention that you did it there. Yeah, this. If you have any relevant experience in the GCC, this gives you already a very big advantage.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the culture, if you know Arabic, also it's an advantage. So all of those things, and please don't miss out on extracurricular activities because again, it shows the CV screener that you are something outside of the academia that you have or your credentials. So mention them, any volunteering, anything that has had impact, like a social impact, just mention it. So all of this plus a strong cover letter.
How important is a cover letter?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people actually miss on the cover letter, even though it is very important. And some firms, if you don't put a cover letter in your application, they also don't look at your CV. So putting a cover letter is very important. And one mistake I always see is people just have their cover letter be kind of a copy-paste of their CV, which shouldn't be the case. Your cover letter should not be like a replacement of your CV. What you should put in your cover letter is more of a backstory of why would you fit into this specific consulting firm or consulting in general as an industry. So if you have any kind of passion towards consulting, put it. If you have any kind of passion towards this specific company for a specific reason, like for example, in my cover letter, I remember the company I applied to, they recently acquired kind of a smaller company that is more specialized in AI and automation. And I was really into that because my final year project was actually on artificial neural networks in engineering. So I was like, I knew that you're actually investing in it and I would love to be part.
You mentioned all of that in your cover letter?
Yeah, I mentioned the story very briefly. So given that you were doing this and I can contribute given my experience in 1, 2, 3, and I've actually done this in my FYP, let's say, I'd love to be part of your...
So you did a lot of background.
Exactly. Like,
work.
please have a background about the company. Because the more you show that you have a background, the better it is for you, both in the screening phase of your CV and cover letter and also in the actual interviews, because it helps a lot.
So in terms of getting into these places,
Okay.
do you think MBA helps?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, like the top MBA schools and having an MBA from one of the top schools would actually help.
How much of a difference does it make without applying with an MBA and with an MBA?
Yeah. So what people should understand is that if you're applying without an MBA from so many different fields, just with a bachelor's degree, you get the lowest kind of position, which is the most junior position, the business analyst, or the kind of junior consultant, if you want to call it. And then after that is the senior consultant or senior business analyst. Then after that is the associate, which is the post MBA position.
Okay.
So you skip 2 positions if you actually have an MBA.
Oh, okay.
So one, you kind of saved these 4 years doing probably something you loved, which is the MBA and the whole experience that comes with it. And 2, you're also starting with a higher salary, kind of a better position to be and everything. So it is good to have an MBA.
But it would be harder to crack a job after an MBA, right?
Yeah.
Because you're directly jumping towards an associate role.
Yeah, the thing is, it's tough for the person, him or herself, and also tough for the teams who actually kind of get those people on their projects. And why is it so? Imagine you directly get the job of an associate. And
You've
once
not
you're
done.
associate, you are kind of expected to not really lead the team, but kind of lead the team with the manager, like lead a certain work stream, including the storyline, telling your like juniors what to do, how to do the slides, give them guidance. So you're like, you just joined the job and you're expected to do all of this.
And you have no idea.
You
not
have no
worked from
idea,
ground up.
exactly. So no matter what you really learned in your MBA, it's not really kind of hands-on experience. So one, you wouldn't be able to directly do it once you join. And 2, the team with you would be like, probably it's better for me to hire an in-house MBA consultant, like an in-house consultant, than an MBA
So
consultant.
it would rather be better for the company to promote someone from an
Yeah.
analyst to an associate
Yeah.
level rather than hiring from outside, because it would just mean that probably they're not ready for the job and many other things.
Yeah, but they still get kind of hired because, again, you're coming from one of the top schools and you have this kind of social and academic proof that you're someone who is fit for that job. So you still get the job, but it's a bit kind of harder for you to prove yourself, one, to the teams, and also to kind of just adapt.
So from your colleagues, do you really think that a lot of them come from good schools, or do you also see people from not so great schools? Like, as honest as you can be, majority of the people.
I think at least the people I know from Tier 2 and MBB, they are from good schools. And usually the majority is from a target school. And for the target school to be a target school in itself, it should
If
be
you had to
good.
explain target schools for someone who does not know target schools.
Okay. So target schools are kind of the top schools in each country that this specific consulting firm has decided to have kind of an agreement with to get students from that university to work in the consulting firm. And it's different from one country to another. Sometimes, like, let's say 3 years ago, a school wouldn't be a target school, and
And
then
now
they
it's a
decided that
target
it is
school, yeah.
target. So it changes with time, the list changes with time, but it's really important. Why? Because it's like the firm is trusting this specific university to
That
give
they-
them the top students. They already know that the university has all the right courses, has all the right preparation for those students to get the job. This is why it's so much easier to get there with a target school in hand.
So if someone is watching this video and wants to enter into consulting 2, 3, 4 years down the line,
Okay.
the best advice you can give them is to go to a top university.
Yeah. This is why I think like the university you choose plays a very big role in like your future. Because let's say if I come from like random university, that's not a target university, I cannot really get into the best I don't know, IB positions or consulting positions or PE positions. So it's really tough. So imagine you already have this card of like, okay, I have a target university. Then all I have to do is kind of prove that I actually worked hard through showing a good GPA, and the rest is actually easy if you come from a good university.
So let's suppose we are coming from a good university. What all should I, or let's suppose we're not. What all should I add to my resume other than the university? Any course or anything else that you would recommend people to do?
So I think any kind of professional experience or a job, an actual job, could help, because even if that job was actually, I don't know, like a waiter. Why? Why? Because you're already a university student. They don't expect you to have a job. You're really like just studying. But what they know, if you have a job, is that you have a good work ethics. You have been part of a job before. You know that it's like there's a difference between being in university and having a project, or being in a job and having actual deliverables and tasks to do. So once you have the idea of how a job works, and you know that a deadline is a deadline, it's not like in university maximum you can just skip an exam or like fail a course and repeat it again. It's completely different in the kind of job or market. So once you have this in your CV, it actually boosts it. They're like, oh, this person could actually know how the business really works.
So you're saying first would be work experience.
Yeah,
Any work
even
experience,
if it's
professional,
just part-time
non-professional,
job, just add
get
it there.
work experience.
Exactly.
Okay.
Two, of course, relevant internships. So any kind of internship, even if it's not, let's say, consulting related, but that actually shows the interviewer or whatever, like the person that who is screening your CV, that like you've worked in something that is impactful, you've worked with other teams, etc., etc. It's good.
Okay.
Other than that, you have to add your extracurricular activities, because it shows that you're not just work oriented. And now I think with this new age, and not just in consulting, kind of employers are not just looking for like top A students out there who are just into like doing the work. They are looking also into interesting personalities who could fit into their culture. So putting any kind of extracurricular activity, side hustle that you do, you've led this community, you started this kind of club in university, it shows them that you have something in you, like you have a passion for something. So put it in there, because it also helps. And of course, any kind of certification that you've had, let's say for any kind of tool, like AI tools that could help you, Microsoft Office, like Excel, PowerPoint, you can add them, like anything, because in consulting...
Do you have anything specific in terms of the tools that a person can learn?
To be honest, I think anything on data analysis, visualization could be super helpful.
Power BI.
Yeah, Power BI, and even beyond that, like Alteryx, Excel, financial modeling, all of this could help you. Okay. Because again, you might need them in the job, and instead of them thinking, oh, we have to teach this person to do it on the job, he already knows, like he has this certificate, so it helps you.
In terms of getting referrals, is there any hack or anything that you would recommend?
Yeah, I think referrals play a very good role in getting the job, because sometimes some people who are not from target universities can get the job if they have a good referral. So how do you get a referral? The top one mistake is probably just looking at a random person and telling them, hi, can you give me a referral? Because this never works. And I have it, I've seen it in front of me, especially once I started my social media platform. And I'm like, please give me a referral. And I'm like, why?
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know you. Why should I give you a referral? So now backstory and seeing it from a consultant's point of view, why would I give you a referral? So one thing they should know, I have an incentive to give you a referral because I get a bonus if you actually get the job. This is one. If you're a good candidate, why not give you a referral? But I also have a limited amount of referrals to give per year. So you have to show me that you're actually kind of capable of getting the job for me to waste one of my referrals and give it to you.
How do I prove it
to
you?
How do you prove it? So let's say you're reaching out on LinkedIn. I would say it's always better to look for people, even if you don't know them, even if they are strangers, that share something in common with you.
You.
From your university,
your
major,
city,
exactly. Something. Why? Because they can be in your shoes and they've understood that this is the experience that you've went through and it's kind of similar, so they can relate. Talk to them and don't just go and, hi, can you give me a referral? Just ask a question, build just a minimal kind of personal rapport with them.
Go on a coffee chat.
Exactly. If sometimes they don't even have the time to give you a coffee chat, try to do it in the chat in the beginning and then propose a coffee chat. So ask them, how has the job been for you? Do you recommend it? Did you regret joining the job? Something of that sort, just to get their perspective. And then after that, I would say don't directly tell them to go on a coffee chat. give them a pitch of yourself. So tell them, I'm this person. I have this specific kind of degree. Those are my credentials. And this is why I think I could get the job. But this should be super short. It shouldn't be like a very long
I don't want to
paragraph.
read it. I don't want to
Exactly.
read a
I
long
don't have the time to read it. And what's even more interesting, a consultant I know actually had a person talk to them on LinkedIn. And what this person did is they prepared one slide that's actually kind of a summary of everything they've done. Like, this is me, this is where I come from, this is like my professional experience, and this is why I could get the job. It's creative. He like put the effort already. It's very kind of entertaining and out of the box than actually sending a text. And he actually got the referral. So this is how you can actually do it. In case they are open to having a coffee chat, try to have it for no more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
Exactly. Like, don't just go there and they were kind of good enough to give you a coffee chat. So just be straight to the point and don't go there and ask like a million questions, because that's not really a good impression.
And then you think referrals make a huge difference?
Yeah. Of course, if you don't have a super strong like CV or a super strong, let's say, target university and background.
Any other thing that you would recommend other than, so we talked about universities directly.
Yeah.
We talked about referrals. Any other recommendation?
I think another recommendation is, I know so many people get fixated on the company that they want to apply to. They're like, no, I just want to apply to MBB or Tier 2. But sometimes, especially now, given the market, given everything, it's not a choice. So what you should do is, it's okay to apply to smaller firms. It's okay to apply to boutique consulting firms. It's okay to apply to Big Four consulting firms. Build the toolkit like in a year or two, and then make more tactical moves on your way up during your career.
So you're saying just get into the industry and then try to look for a switch.
Plus, you would meet so many other consultants once you get into the industry.
Yeah.
Like, you would meet them at the airport because we all fly during the same schedule. You would meet them on the client side because sometimes there are so many different consulting teams on the same kind of floor or place. So probably you're, let's say, in a boutique firm, you would meet someone from, I don't know, Bain. Then network with them. They would refer you. You would get the job 2 years later.
Because you already have work experience in the same industry.
Exactly.
So in terms of salaries, in Dubai specifically, how much are we looking at for analysts and associates?
So I think it's very different from one firm to another. So
Just
you can
ballpark
start
numbers.
like, probably Big Four would be around like 3K. We're talking like
3,000
USD.
dirhams. 3,000 USD per month?
Yeah.
3,000 USD per month?
Yeah. Of course, not 3,000 dirham. 3,000 dirham cannot even cover your house in Dubai.
That's why I was like, wow, that's nothing.
No. Yeah.
Okay, 3,000
Living
dirhams.
expenses are like high here.
$3,000 per month,
Yeah.
beginning at a small firm, at Big Four.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's really like 3,000, but it's around that range. Like, let's say
Okay.
from 2.5 to 3,000.
Okay.
Then, of course, you would expect more from MBB and Tier 2. Sometimes what people don't know is Tier 2 offer a better compensation package just to attract the top talent instead of them just going to MBB directly. And here we're talking somewhere between, also it's a big range. So let's say from 6K to 8.5, 9K.
USD.
Yeah. And then the boutique firms are everywhere in between. You could have boutique firms that could pay, I don't know, like 2K per month. Other boutique firms that are like super good, super luxurious in a different industry, let's say in tech or something, and they would pay you, I don't know, 10K.
So for analysts who are just starting out, we're looking at a range from minimum 2,000 USD to 10,000 USD at the best if you're doing everything.
Yeah,
amazing.
and like a very specific boutique firm that's like
and on an
killing
average,
it.
you're looking at 4 to 5,000
Yeah, exactly.
USD.
Yeah.
And associate with 4 years of work experience, how much are they looking at?
I think you should expect at least like 30% to 50% more than what you get at the analyst level.
So you're looking at somewhere around 6,000 to 15,000
Yeah, I would
USD
say.
per month.
Yeah.
That's actually not that bad of a salary, because if you convert it into yearly, you're making somewhere around 120 to 180, that to tax free.
Exactly. But the way you should think about it is, those firms, like, why do they offer good compensation packages? Because again, once you get in, they're not really paying you for your expertise. They're paying you for your time. Like you are literally expected to work like 16 to 8 hours per day without having an objection. So you should be willing to do that, and then you'll get compensated for it. This is how it works.
But like $120,000, $160,000 salary 4 years in, that's really good.
Yeah.
Considering there are no taxes.
Yeah.
That's-
But again, the living expenses here are also high. Like
Come on,
everything is...
It's nothing as compared to New York or London.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. I'm not talking US, but let's say if you're somewhere, like for example, if I compare the living expenses here to my country, which is Lebanon,
Yeah, but then
it's insanely
you wouldn't have
higher.
such salaries there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of proportional.
Here, you were comparing salaries with US and then living expenses with Lebanon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
compared
not
to the US.
Yeah, let's compare. If we compare it to US, when I was living in US, I was paying $3,500 as rent.
Oof.
Even in business pay, I think I wouldn't be paying more than $1,200.
Yeah.
So, and the place that I was living in was shit in California. Right now in London, £1,200 minimum, bare minimum that I get to pay.
And you're co-living with someone?
I'm co-living with
Yeah.
someone. Like,
Yeah, that's tough.
We're sharing the kitchen, we're sharing
Yeah.
the main room. So so I personally think, and in Dubai, in business bay, in the best area, you get to live for way much cheaper.
Yeah, and to be honest, what a lot of people, like, I don't know, there's this kind of luxurious, very fancy image that's given about Dubai, and it is there.
It is
Like,
there.
you can find the crazy luxurious stuff in Dubai that I've never seen outside.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there is also the regular kind of regions or like areas that you can live in for much less.
Yeah, true.
The restaurants are like cheaper, the houses are cheaper, everything is cheaper if you are willing to not be, let's say, in downtown and Business Bay.
100%.
Yeah.
This is one example I usually give to some of my friends who plan to move to Dubai.
Yeah.
Because they know that I have my company based out of Dubai. So I tell them that you can live whatever life you want to live in Dubai.
Exactly.
You could be living in downtown,
Yeah.
and you could be spending $1,200 for your rent. But you could also be living 6 stations towards the south
Yeah.
in Dera, and you can be living in $300 also.
Exactly.
It's the life you want
Yeah,
to choose in
yeah.
Dubai.
Even the restaurants, even everything. You can have a meal for $500 per steak,
And
and you can also have a meal for 3 dirhams. This is like the extremes of Dubai. You can find both. It's again up to you to choose.
whatever life you want to
Yeah.
live. But that's also one thing I love about Dubai. It lets you do whatever you
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
It lets you live the life you want to.
And it makes it super easy. Like I was talking like about this to my team, and it's super hard to live outside of Dubai and now the GCC, because everyone I think in the GCC is kind of following this model, and then live outside because everything is easy here. If I want to have any like activity that I have in mind, I'll find someone who actually provides it. This is one. Anything that I can think of could be delivered to me in 15, even 10 minutes. It's crazy how much they try to make your life comfortable, and kind of they make everything accessible to you if you have the means to do it.
Yeah.
But it's there. This is how it's different in Dubai.
I think if you have money in Dubai, you're the king.
Yeah, kind of. But again, you can have money, and then there are people making crazy money in Dubai. So even if you have the minimal amount of money that would make you, let's say, rich in another country, you're nothing compared to the people, the actual
but I think
rich
that's
people
where
in
the
Dubai.
aspirations also come into play.
Yeah, definitely.
It gives you the chance to aspire for more.
Yeah.
I hardly find anyone here in Dubai who feels like, oh, I can't make it big.
Yeah.
Like everyone
Yeah.
has that zeal inside them because they see the next person in front
Exactly.
of them. who has
And they're
done
doing
much
something. Yeah.
much bigger.
And I think not necessarily this, but it's also applicable to consulting in a way. And now I'll explain. Which is, you have people who have such a high caliber, like they're all kind of interesting personalities. One of them would teach you how they started investing. Then another person would start teaching you how they started their job alongside their consulting job. Like they started their business. Then another person would teach you something else. So you always keep like learning from them. Not necessarily the consulting job or the toolkit itself, but you get inspired. So your circle will eventually change. It's all kind of very... like people who are adamant to learn things. So it's also a really good place to be.
Do you think it makes sense to study in Dubai? Come for a master's degree in Dubai?
Now there are a lot of, not necessarily in Dubai, but in the UAE in general, there are really good universities that are kind of booming and investing in
Education.
In education. So we have the Mohammed bin Zayed Artificial Intelligence School. I think
Yeah.
this is the name. We have American University of Sharjah.
American University of
We have
Dubai.
NYU.
NYU,
Mainly
Abu
like
Dhabi.
in Abu Dhabi and Sharjah, but yeah, like you can actually study
Like, does
here.
it make sense? Do you see people from there working in consulting right now?
Not a lot, I'd say. Not yet, but eventually I think they are now becoming target schools. So you will eventually
Maybe
see
in a
people
few
from
years.
here. Yeah, exactly.
So, in terms of your personal experience, why did you move from engineering to consulting?
Okay. So I think it was for a variety of reasons. One, a very interesting backstory. I was one of those people who was so set on staying in engineering. I was
Okay.
like, no, to the point where I actually did not attend any consulting club event in university. I was not interested at all. So we had a consulting club in university and I was not interested. All my friends were interested. They used to attend. They were like, oh, Rosy, you should check it. I'm like, no, I'm just staying in engineering. And I used to think it's like, no, I don't want to join this. All they do are like slides. It's not for me. So then I graduated and got the job in engineering. It was actually also a return offer from my internship. This is why I love internships so much. I got the job directly. I started working. I enjoyed it so much in the first 6 months. And just as a background, I was an HVAC design mechanical engineer. And to the point, after 6 months, I started noticing some things that are like red flags. One, I kind of learned what I needed to learn for that specific position. And it plateaued at a certain point. I learned it. I became kind of a robot. I'm just kind of drawing pipelines all the time.
Same thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm sure there is a software who should do this instead of me. But if that software isn't, like, what am I supposed to do? So I stopped enjoying it because the learning curve was like nowhere to be found. Then another thing I noticed is the career path, which is very different from consulting versus like any industry. In engineering, you get the job as a junior engineer, then you stay for like a couple of years, even more as a junior engineer, then you move to an engineer, and then as a senior engineer. And sometimes when you're in a small company, that's it. You
There's
would be
no
a
more
senior engineer for like years. Maximum you can get head of department. And that's it. And it takes so much time to move from one kind of position to another. And it also depends on whether this small company is actually hiring other engineers, whether they're growing the department or not. And a lot of firms, it's just kind of the founder who's also the CEO and is kind of dealing with everything. So I understood that no, I do not want to reach the point of the senior engineers that I've seen in this, for example, the company, and be like them for 40 years.
Okay.
This is not what I wanted to do. So I started kind of doubting this specific place where I'm in, but still I did not want to apply to consulting. Up until my best friend, like my best friend, was actually applying to consulting. And he was like, can you please help me train for my case studies? And I'm like, I know nothing about case studies. He's like, just kind of play the role of my interviewer and this is it. Common sense, you will already get it from the beginning. And this is what happened. I started training him for the case studies. Up until a point, he's like, you should try case studies. I'm sure you will ace it from the beginning. And then I'm like, I'm not interested, blah, blah. Up until he tried to do my case study. And it was interesting. Like, you think you can know everything and it's common sense, but tackling like case studies are super interesting to me. And I liked it. And then I started getting more into it. I started researching about consulting firms. What do they actually do? How's the life like? And I'm like, okay, this is exciting. It's much more fast-paced. I get to try so many different industries in a couple of years. And even if I wanted to leave after, I think it's already a good experience and a good place to be in like your 20s.
Yeah.
Because you can take the kind of long hours and the demanding schedule, but at least you're learning and you're in a fast-paced environment. So I'm like, okay, I will apply. But the thing is, if I apply with the open position, I will have to prepare for cases. And I'm competing with people who have been training for cases ever since we were in university.
Yeah.
So what should I do about it? So what I did actually, I kind of quit my job in engineering, even though I did not apply yet, even though I did not have an offer or anything. I just decided to quit and study case studies for like, let's say 1 month, like full on.
Just 1 month.
Yeah. just 1 month, but kind of full time because I quit my
Sure,
job.
still just 1
Yeah.
month.
So I started kind of prepping with this guy, but he had a job at the time while I became unemployed. And I started reading cases alone. Like even before I sleep, I would read the case. I would kind of hide it and do
Try
a
to
case
answer
with
it
myself. Yeah. And I loved it. Like I loved
Been
the
there,
experience
done
of
that.
case studies. So, and I ended up applying to the job, and he was the one who even kind of helped me fill out the applications. He wanted me to apply to this job. And I was like, if I'm gonna get this job, this is the only firm I'm gonna apply for.
You
If I
accepted.
get it, I'll get it. If not, then consulting would not be for me. It was more of a gambling at the time because I was not really, I was not dying to get the job. That was it. But I wanted to try it out. And eventually, like, I got a call back and they were like, hey, are you interested to interview with us? I'm like, yeah, I'm interested to interview. I remember when I got the call, I was actually in a party. And then I got the call and like, please put in your preferred time slot to have the interview. So I put in my preferred time slot. I've had the first kind of case interview and it went great. And I think just one trick for whoever's seeing this, just really like take the interview as a normal conversation. There's no
Don't
reason
think
for you to be nervous. The person has been in your shoes a couple of years back because in consulting you move so quickly through the ranks. So this manager or associate was literally in your shoes like 5 years ago. So there's nothing different than he got the job and he has been in it for 5 years. That's
Nothing
it.
more.
Exactly. So this is how I went into the interview. So the first case, I actually cracked it. The second case, I was a bit nervous. So it's funny because I started like watching random motivational YouTube videos just to get me into the vibe. And I actually went into the case interview and actually cracked it.
Wow.
They called me like 2 weeks later and told me you passed round 1 because round 1 was 2 case interviews. So you will expect another email from us to go into round 2, which is the partner and principal cases. I think there was a delay by the time they actually gave me that email because it was like Christmas and New Year's. Then I got the email. They're like, we're inviting you to another case interview. I cracked the principal interview and I've had the partner interview. So during the partner interview, I made a math mistake. So the thing is, he gave me a market sizing and I eventually got a number and it was like too big for it to be realistic.
Possible.
Exactly. And like I noticed it and I'm like, okay, you should not panic. It's okay. You did a math mistake. You're not a calculator. And then I told him, like, I know this is exaggerated. Let me just go back and check what I did wrong. And this is
You
also
would
an
have loved
advice. Like, just have your scratch or whatever you're doing the case with be super structured so that you can follow your thoughts and just go back through them if you actually made a mistake.
And just walk them through it.
Exactly. And I walked him through it. Exactly. So I'm like, okay, this is not where I went wrong. This is actually right. This is where I went wrong. And I told him, and I directly fixed it instead of repeating the calculation. So I just divided by the ratio at the time or something. And I ended up like kind of cracking the case. And he was so, like he had a poker face throughout the interview. And I'm like, I'm not really getting it. Like, are you liking me? Are you not liking me? Am I doing good? Like, what's this? Up until the last bit, I usually, like, this is also another trick for your interview. Try to get a little bit personal in the end, like in the last questions that you would ask, and let them talk about themselves. So people like to talk about themselves. So give them the space to do it. And he was like, yes, we finished the interview. Do you have any other questions? And I'm like, I have one question actually. Like, you reach partner, and I think I don't know if you expected to be in consulting once you graduated, but eventually you've reached the dream of someone who is kind of applying for consulting. So after all this time, like, do you regret it?
That's such a loaded question. But he would have loved to answer that.
Yeah. And then he started talking. He smiled. He gave a little bit of a different impression. And this is how I know. I think this guy, like, probably liked me. So then I actually got the offer. It was like February 13th when they called me. And yeah, the rest is history.
How long has it been since you're working?
A bit less than 2 years.
It'll be 2 years in a month.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you regret anything till now?
Till now, No, I don't really regret a lot of things, but I wish I knew some things before I joined, just to make the experience a
would
bit.
those be?
I think what you should know, especially if you come from a different industry, is that it's very different. Like a consulting job is different than a regular industry job. For example, in my engineering job, I got the offer. I started working, and that was it. This was the effort that I had to do. Of course, it all depends on my performance in that job. But in consulting, it's different. So you get the job, but you also have to build your internal network to get staffed on projects, especially to get staffed on the projects that you really want, or the projects that are really kind of will give you the experience that you would want in consulting. And two, it doesn't only depend on your performance on the project that you're staffed on. It also depends on so many factors, which if you don't have a really good mentor in the beginning, you wouldn't really be exposed to. So for example, it depends on how many firm building activities you're actually part of. It depends on how much you contribute to the intellectual capital of the company. It depends on, for example, your client relationship, your contribution to proposals, and so many different stuff. So you need those kind of official and unofficial mentors in the beginning of your career to tell you those things. Like, yes, good job. Like, you did super well in your first cycle. You've worked so hard on your project, but this is not enough. You should do all of this as well. So this is what's tricky, and I wish I knew this in the beginning.
In terms of the job market, do you think Dubai has something different to offer than other countries or GCC in general?
The GCC in general, I think it has to offer the fact that it's still in a growing phase. So in other places in the world, you already kind of, it's mature enough.
Mature enough, yeah.
But here it's still growing. There are industries that were not there that are actually booming here. That are things that were not allowed before that are actually now allowed, and they bring so many different industries with them. And two, it's also a lot kind of reliant on the government and public sector, so you will see so many other projects related to that. It's a different kind of landscape.
But do you think it is going to be the next land of opportunities?
I think now it is the land of opportunities, if you think about it. It is the area that's actually booming, and this is the area that's actually attracting the people from all around the world.
In terms of your company right now, how many Arabs do you think would you have in your team?
I don't know, really, because it really depends from one team to another, and the client...
But in general? Like
you would have at least like one Arab per team, because you need someone who talks Arabic with clients who are actually Arab.
How big would the teams be?
How big? Also, it really depends. Sometimes you have like projects, really like small projects with just 1+1, so like one manager plus consultant. Sometimes you can have projects with like 2+6 or something.
So you're saying Arabs would be around 25%, 1/4 of the force?
I'd say yes, because you need Arabic speakers. And plus, like, remember that this is the region of like Arabs. So let's say if I'm in Lebanon and I want to stay kind of close to my country, the first place I would apply to is either like my country or the GCC. So this is why it's also a very attractive market for Arabs, not necessarily just GCC nationals.
In general, in Dubai, for other niches, it's seen that the color of your passport decides your salary.
Yeah.
So if you have a Western passport, you're
Yeah.
given a
Yeah.
better... Does that also happen
No.
in consulting?
No. It's a standardized salary per position, per office. So per region.
So regardless of your passport?
Yeah, regardless. We all have the same salary.
That's
Yeah.
a nice thing to hear.
Yeah.
So in terms of skills, if someone is looking to get into consulting, what are the skills that they should be focusing on right now?
Okay. So I think just looking back at the questions that I usually also receive from aspiring consultants, they ask me about certifications and if any certification can get them the job. And I would like to tell them no. So it's the skill and them knowing that you have the skill that actually got you the job and not a specific certification. So don't just go out there and like pay for courses, random courses, just to put them on your CV. Because what they really care about is your university and your very kind of certified background, if that makes sense.
What do you mean by certified background?
Like, I mean something that's credible. Like a university that's actually known, not a random course you've taken online that they know nothing about.
Okay. In terms of skills, what skills do you think?
So I think the skills that not necessarily get you the job, but are a good way to show that you would be a good fit, are definitely PowerPoint skills. Definitely storytelling.
Storytelling
Yeah.
goes a long way.
How to build frameworks is also a very huge part of consulting because all deliverables are literally built on frameworks.
What do you mean by how to build frameworks?
Okay, so framework is also part of storytelling because a story is actually built on a framework. And what do I mean by that? The framework are usually the structure that you build in order to solve whatever problem you have. You have the usual kind of known frameworks all over the world, like the SWOT framework for the SWOT
Okay,
analysis,
the
the
frameworks.
strategy house, the
Okay.
operating model framework, and everything. But then specific projects will require you to get your own framework or to build it. So knowing this skill kind of shows the recruiter that, okay, you would be a good fit. Plus, it makes your life super easier once you get the job. Because if you get the idea of frameworks, this is literally what it's all about.
So different types of frameworks, just using different types of
Exactly.
frameworks. Okay.
And then Excel also helps a lot. This is the least you should know in terms of like data analysis. Anything other than Excel would be definitely a plus. Like Alteryx is really nice. It's I don't know if people know it. It's not as popular, but it helps
isn't.
you. Like it's very user friendly. It's kind of a coding language for data, but it's also kind of super friendly in a way. It's just kind of functions that you can drag and drop instead of actually writing the code.
So do you actually see AI taking over any of consulting right now?
I think it will make it super lean and also super more efficient. So the way I see it is I don't think it will take the job of consultants because you still need this relationship with the client. Something that's very particular about the GCC or the Middle East is that a lot of the business relationships are actually built on personal trust and rapport, not just like a person that gives you these business requirements that you have or like deliverables and that's it. So I don't think it can replace it because of that specific thing, but it can make it super lean in a way. Like let's say instead of having 6 consultants who are required to do the slides, who are required to do the analysis, who are required to do the research, you'll have AI do that and have a good, strong consultant who actually leads the deliverables. And let's say a good manager or associate who is kind of managing the
Communicates it.
project and communicating and bridging everything between the team, the client, and the partners.
So you think the job in itself will not go away, but the number of people that are required to do the same job will go
Yeah, and
down?
it will change. I think more expertise will be required at some point. You got what I mean?
Yes, so you need to be expert at what you're
Exactly.
doing rather than just being
Exactly.
average, because you wouldn't be required
Yeah.
then.
You would still need junior consultants to put in the effort to kind of execute everything that's done by the manager or partner, but at least not like 6 to 7 people.
But I still think AI can do much better.
AI?
Yeah.
Not yet, at
Not
least.
yet, not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
I was looking at a platform yesterday. It looked like I was talking to a human.
Really?
It was more human than me.
Oof. Even ChatGPT is now sometimes I tell him about my personal problems, and he's like, "You can do this or that. Don't
So
stress
there is
out."
ChatGPT 4.0 I.
Yeah,
It sounds human.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's scary how human
And
it
it's
is.
growing super fast, and it's amazing like what you can actually learn from AI and do with AI. Like sometimes, let's say, I don't tell AI to specifically give me something or solve something for me, but I'm like, okay, you did this, like you took this sentence and made it kind of better. How did you do it? Like, how can I actually learn to do what you just did?
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't.
And it's
I've
a very
never used-
interesting kind of aspect of AI, because if you think about it, AI is like all the information of the world
Put
in that
into a
specific
box.
platform.
Yeah.
So learn from it. It's like better than any teacher, I think, outside. So yeah, I think the future is AI, and people should invest in knowing AI.
So was there any specific moment when you felt like consulting is the perfect role for you?
Probably yes. I think we were in a brainstorming session. We were trying to solve something for the client. We had a completely new deliverable, and I was just kind of starting out in consulting. I was barely in the job for like 3 months. And we were building the storyline itself and the framework that we need in order to solve that problem. And I started seeing 2 perspectives. So we had 2 associates on the job. And then one of them who kind of came up with one framework and another one with a completely different framework. And I directly saw, kind of it clicked in my head, who is the actual better consultant.
Oh,
Yeah. And in a way, why? Because I realized what a consultant should do. So the first framework, literally, for example, let's say it's an example. You are trying to find the gaps in, I don't know, the AI tools out there. So what someone did had the idea of like, let's go into literally every single AI tool and check what's the gap in there and research it, which is something that could take you
years.
weeks. Like if you
Yes.
actually have like a very big team and let's say specific to one region, but would still like, take you so much time,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense given that we have a deadline. And then the other consultant was like, no, we'll build this framework, we'll bucket it in this way, we'll have to look in this specific lens because we know kind of the strategic objectives of the client. And instead of looking into this like sea of AI tools, we look at just this. And this is when it clicked in my head. And the reason why I thought this is kind of the thing I want, because it is kind of intellectually stimulating, because you see so many different perspectives, because you see people that have done it and kind of get it out of nowhere, and I'd like to learn from those people. And I think it's not only applicable in consulting, it teaches you a lot even after you leave consulting, because in a way you have kind of the toolkit and the framework to solve anything. One, you're not afraid to be kind of thrown in the unknown, because literally every project you do is different in consulting. So even if I want to start a business on, I don't know, automation of microphones, I would be able to do it because khalas, I'm okay with being in the unknown. Two, I also have the toolkit. I know where to search. I know the experts that I would like to meet. I know everything. Plus, actually, you meet those experts. Like you would suddenly meet experts from, let's say, the World Bank. You would start meeting experts from Oxford's economic. It's really interesting to get into this field and seeing all the different perspectives in it. So this is when I was like, okay, like at least for that stage in my life, this is the place to be because I can learn a lot.
So, what kind of background should someone have if they want to enter into consulting?
Okay, I also get asked this question so much, and I think the simple like answer is anything. Like you could do anything in university and end up in consulting, but some people have some advantage. So for example, if I'm just talking statistics, from the people I know, and again, tier 2 and MBB, we have so many people from kind of scientific background. So like engineering, we have a lot of people from like finance, business, management, etc. So this is the big chunk. But then you have unconventional like degrees that actually end up in consulting.
Examples?
Like pharmacy, for example. We have people who are actually doctors and somehow ended up in a health practice in consulting. You have people who were, I don't know, studying marketing and end up in consulting, let's say in consumer products.
And there are some firms that specifically hire for these as well.
Yes, kind of. But
Like
again,
ZS
at
hires
more
so much
senior
healthcare.
roles.
No, ZS hires so many healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
So I think that would also help. So it is also really important to understand that, as you correctly said before the start of the podcast, you can enter into specific roles
Yeah,
if you have different background.
yeah,
And regardless of whichever background you can come
exactly.
from, consulting can be the
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
for
yeah.
you.